Leading with empathy, collaboration in challenging circumstances. Abstract, in professional settings. Collaborating with difficult colleagues presents a common yet challenging scenario that tests both emotional intelligence and leadership skills. This article explores strategies for effectively working with team members whose behaviors may trigger frustration or interpersonal tension. Drawing from research on emotional regulation in teams and workplace psychology. The author presents a framework for moving beyond initial negative reactions to foster productive collaboration. Key approaches include developing empathetic understanding of underlying motivations, leveraging individual strengths within the team dynamic, establishing trust through transparent communication, and maintaining collective focus on strategic objectives rather than personal differences. The article demonstrates how leaders can transform potentially toxic working relationships into functional partnerships by prioritizing shared goals and practicing emotional awareness, ultimately creating an environment where diverse personalities can contribute to successful outcomes despite interpersonal challenges. We've all been there, working on a project where you draw the short straw and get stuck collaborating with that person you just can't stand. You know, the one who always has to be right, never listens to other perspectives, takes all the credit, doesn't pull their weight. The list goes on. As leaders and professionals, it's inevitable we'll find ourselves in situations where we have to work closely with difficult colleagues. But how do we set aside our personal feelings to get the job done successfully? When faced with these challenging collaborative dynamics, it's natural to want to avoid or disengage from the person causing frustration. However, as Myers and Sadagiani, 2010, point out in their research on emotion regulation in teams, simply withdrawing or lashing out rarely solves the underlying issues and often makes matters worse. Instead, leaders must find a way to foster constructive engagement through emotional intelligence and empathy, even with those we dislike. Today we will explore strategies for collaborating effectively in less than ideal circumstances. Through a combination of emotional awareness, active listening, and focusing on shared goals rather than differences, leaders can guide teams to success regardless of interpersonal dynamics. Seeing beyond surface behaviors. The first step is looking past surface behaviors that rub us the wrong way to understand the perspectives and motivations underneath. It's easy to make negative assumptions about others, but taking the time to gain insight can reframe how we view even difficult colleagues. As Goldman et al. 2013 explain, emotionally intelligent leaders consider others' emotional realities rather than judging too quickly. When dealing with an arrogant coworker, for example, reflect on what experiences or insecurities could be driving their bravado rather than immediately writing them off. You may find they're actually quite knowledgeable or caring in other areas. Active listening is key here. Rather than just waiting for your turn to talk, truly listen with empathy when others share their perspectives or frustrations. Note what they say about the circumstances and constraints around them rather than fixating on delivery. This shifts you from a place of reactivity to understanding. For the self-absorbed team member always interrupting meetings, ask thoughtful questions to draw them out and see what dedication or passion may lie beneath irritating behaviors. With openness and care, even difficult colleagues can become more human in our eyes, bringing out the best in each other once we gain insight into others. The next step is leveraging everyone's strengths for the good of the project. No one is all bad, so seek to highlight positives and play to people's talents. Recognize what each person does well even if their approach isn't your preferred style. Maybe the dominant colleague is a whiz with metrics and data analysis. Rather than butting heads on process, accept their analytical skills could significantly benefit reports and let them lead in that area. Studies also show people are generally motivated to perform better when they feel valued and heard. Gilly et al. 2015. Make an effort to sincerely acknowledge others' contributions publicly, whether a well-articulated perspective or follow through on an action item. People people often live up to the positive expectations we set for them. With the loud contrarian on your team, thank them for playing devil's advocate and pushing everyone to justify assumptions. Their challenging questions likely strengthen the final deliverables. Focusing on mutual respect and bringing out strengths in each other aligns everyone around shared goals of success. Building trust through compromise despite best intentions. Conflicts will inevitably arise working so closely together over time. But as research from Scannon Moran, 2014, underscores, maintaining trust is paramount for teams facing adversity. When disagreements happen, and they will with difficult personalities, commit to resolving issues respectfully through open communication and compromise rather than avoidance. Ultimatums or passive aggression. For example, if the self-interested colleague continuously proposes changes clearly aimed at increasing their own visibility, privately but calmly express how certain decisions impact deadlines or morale. Request they consider other perspectives too in the spirit of teamwork. More often than not, directly addressing tensions respectfully can clear the air far better than secretly seething. And be willing to concede some points yourself. Showing flexibility builds good faith that issues can be resolved cooperatively going forward. It also helps to get alignment on boundaries and expectations early to avoid future confusion. Clearly communicate needs around communication styles, scheduling, and decision-making processes. Then compromise where possible based on realities of the project rather than personal preferences alone. With trust established through transparency and willingness to meet in the middle, teammates can resolve inevitable tensions constructively even when previous friction exists. Focusing collectively on strategic goals. Finally, the single most powerful strategy I've found for diffusing drama and channeling energy in positive directions is keeping colleagues focused outwardly on the important goals and purpose driving their work together rather than inwardly on individual agendas or personalities. Continuously orient conversations back to how strategies and solutions impact customers, stakeholders, or the greater mission. Help teammates see how their diverse talents, when united, can achieve meaningful outcomes greater than any could alone. As Meyer, 1963, demonstrated in classic organizational psychology studies. Simply reframing stressful interpersonal dynamics as a cooperative problem-solving exercise against a metaphorical external adversary remarkably improved attitudes and collaboration. Similarly, paint a compelling vision of success your team could realize together if they rise above petty conflicts to unleash their full potential. Regularly acknowledge progress made and reiterate appreciation for colleagues' dedication to the cause. This fuels intrinsic motivation and galvanizes spirit even when fatigue or frustration sets in. With external purpose and mutual understanding taking priority over internal politics, colleagues can align in pursuing strategic objectives rather than wasting precious resources on trivial objections or grievances from the past. Focus shifts to collective, we, over comparative, I, you. Results and relationships both improve as challenging dynamics fade into the background in service of higher purpose. Conclusion: leading with empathy in any collaboration. Personal feelings will inevitably color perceptions and interactions to some degree. But through self-awareness, empathy, trust-building, and maintaining strategic focus, leaders can successfully guide teams with even the most difficult members to achieve shared goals. With patience and compassion, seeing issues from others' perspectives often reveals they aren't so different after all. And maximizing individual strengths while enhancing strengths as a unit yields the highest quality outcomes. Challenging circumstances are inevitable, yet also opportunities to build skills in navigating complexity with grace. By bringing out the best in each other through understanding and unity of purpose, leaders can pave the way for colleagues to overcome difficulties and thrive both individually and collectively. With emotional intelligence and a dedication to helping all find purpose and meaning in the work, what at first seemed an impossible situation can become just another step toward sustainable success.